Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad. My name is Austin.
And my name is Patrick.
And guys, welcome back to our show.
Yeah, we got AVT and PAT. They talking about young Americans overseas. We got McKinney, Pulisic, Reina, and Des. Got that red, white, and blue. USA on the crest from England, Germany, from Belgium to Spain. Racking up all the medals on the trophy train. Got one thing on their mind. We're scaling some luck. One day we can say we will win the World Cup.
Well, guys, it is great to be back with you for episode 2 of season 6 of Young Americans Abroad. And Pat, all of our top 5 soccer leagues in Europe are up and running now. It feels good. Soccer's
Yeah, it
back.
does feel good. It doesn't feel good on the pocketbook there. I shouldn't even say pocketbook. Who has that anymore? But you're paying with all these subscriptions to the different streaming services. But hey, you gotta watch La Liga, you gotta watch the Bundesliga, Serie A, you name it, right? With all the leagues back.
Yeah, it was really cool to see Yunus Musa start this weekend for Valencia, especially at center mid, right? We wanted to see him in midfield. And we saw our boy Wes McKinney come back today from injury. And
Yeah, that's an
not
Iron Man
expecting
McKinney.
that.
The Iron Man Austin. He just kind of had a glitch there in the system and put some new hardware in, and he was back in super speed time. I can't believe he started and looked pretty good. He just dislocated his shoulder. I would be like reeling on the ground for 2 months.
Yeah, and with a new number too, which was kind of cool to see, number 8.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a big part of their plans this year. But yeah, I guess we want to transition right into the action today. We got a lot to cover. So the first player we're going to talk about is Malik Tillman. So Pat, it was a big week for Malik. Was actually the scorer of 2 goals for Rangers this week, both headed goals. And can we say, Pat, Malik got up, right? Like these were some really impressive Ronaldo-esque goals. You got to check out the highlights if you haven't seen them, but they were great. And so great that they actually put a challenge outside the stadium where you had to try and jump as high as Malik to score a goal. It was kind of interesting seeing that. So go check that video out as well on our Instagram account. It was a pretty good or a pretty cool challenge to see. But all in all, Pat, Malik's really started out well for Rangers, right? We've seen him get a lot of playing time early on. And obviously this week really capitalized on it with scoring 2 goals. And really just you've been able to see why, German fans were so upset that they lost out on him, right? You've seen a lot of his close control in tight situations. We've seen a lot of that in his highlights. We've also seen, again, just some good technical play from him, right? He's a very technically sound player, some good passes, again, some good actions getting in and around the box, obviously getting in position again to score, and via headers, right? Like that's, it takes some, good positioning to get where he needs to be to score. So all in all, great start to life in Scotland for Malik.
Yeah, that challenge is awesome. And just you could see how much even the recent goal, obviously the crucial goal for the the Champions League qualifying stages there, how much that meant to the fans and Malik during his interviews and just seeing the passion. I mean, those even Celtic and Rangers, right? And in Scotland, they have some of the most incredible crowds. I would love to visit that stadium or see a game there. But
the Ibrox or the Ibrox,
yeah, Ibrox, yeah, it's in Glasgow. So it's incredible that he's taken a life there. We saw Timo really become a fan favorite Celtic. Now Malik's kind of doing that for Rangers and just going to a place, like you said, Austin, game time. He's getting goals, he's getting reps, minutes, and a team that's dominating possession, which is great for all those chances and opportunities that he'll get. So he's making a really strong case to be a part of the roster here. And I think a lot of people have, not that he wasn't on the radar before, but even more so now.
Yeah, and I really just am really happy to see more of him, right? Like we saw a little bit of him last year for Bayern. If you watch some of their youth games over the past year and a half, you'd be able to see, Malik play for the 2 team, even for the U19s back in the day when we were, trying to keep an eye on those games. So we've seen a little bit of him, but just in a professional environment, right? Against seasoned vets and really just, showing out based on, like I said, his technical ability, some of his, close control is really exciting. And it's almost right. You almost got to think a little bit of some of our other players, right? Like Gio Reyna, not to that same level, I'd say, but definitely, a midfield prospect that's got a lot of potential. And I think this week, Pat, especially, it's going to be really interesting to see how that form transitions, into, again, one of their most, important matches of the season, at least up to this date, right? They're playing versus PSV in the UCL qualifying final this week to get into the actual Champions League. So that's going to be a big game. We'll see if Malik gets the start in that one. I know he's played now, 2 games in the past week. So this is another game in quick succession. So he may or may not be on the pitch. If he starts, I think it's a great sign of, again, the place he currently holds in that team. And it should be a fun one, right, Pat?
Yeah,
be a good week.
I'm pumped. I know, PSV is going to be a huge challenge, but fantastic exposure and experience for Malik. So I know we wanted to shift, Austin, to one of my favorite topics, and might as well just get the jerseys now. I know we said that in the last episode, but I really need to get them. And that's Leeds America, or the United States of Leeds, with Tyler Adams and Brendan Aronson. So just a quick recap of the game. Apparently I missed the most important last 10 or 15 minutes where Leeds blew their 2-0 lead, but they started off very strong. Away at Southampton, it's a hot day, over 100 degrees, record-breaking temperatures there. They needed those water breaks, but Leeds came out full press. They looked aggressive. They were combining well, chemistry with the teams. Everyone was in sync, even the back line. Adams was covering a lot of ground and right place at the right time, intercepting balls there, winning aerial duels. He looked the part, and he was kind of bossing around Southampton's attack there, orchestrating things into their counters and attacks. Aronson, again, also a pest, right, on the wing there, and kind of drifting in centrally, playing some really great through balls to Rodrigo, and even connecting with Bamford before, again, a really unfortunate injury. So things were clicking. They didn't get that goal right away. Second half, they came out. First part of that second half, that's where the goals came with Rodrigo. Aronson, again, kind of involved, right, in one of them. And yeah, they, unfortunately, in the last 15, 20 minutes or so, Southampton changed a little bit formation. Their subs came in. Leeds were a little bit slow to react on that, and that's where those 2 goals came back for Southampton. I believe Kyle Walker-Peters is one, and then Aribo too. So they had some speed and pace behind the fullbacks, and Leeds defense kind of cracked and couldn't hold up. So really unfortunate that they blew that 2-0 lead, but for the most part, Aronson Adams looked the part, looked fantastic. It's just with them and the entire team, the last 15, 20 minutes, everybody was gassed, Austin. So unfortunate, but they stay undefeated.
Yeah, and I think that's something we'll have to keep an eye on for Jesse Marsch too, right? Is kind of helping, set his team up to succeed for the full 90 minutes, right? It seemed like in that first game too, Leeds were kind of reeling, especially in the second half. So hopefully, he can kind of figure out, obviously, ways to keep his players a little bit more fresh. Maybe that means, going a little bit easier in the first half. But, you talked about, again, in this game, the intensity that they came out with was good. And I think, again, that's a byproduct of the culture that Jesse Marsch is building there, which we should be proud of. And, you talked also about Patrick Bamford, his injury. I think that could be a really big one for Leeds. Obviously, he's kind of their out-and-out striker. I know they have some other attackers that they could kind of throw up top and use as a makeshift striker, but he was supposed to be their guy this year. So we'll have to see how long he's going to be out for, but that's, a little concerning, especially since, again, they have so many midfielders, right? And so many wide players. They really are missing that depth at striker.
Came in and filled, but he's not the out and out, right? He's not the Bamford. And that you saw, right, when Bamford last season went out and how obviously it wasn't just him, right? It had quite a few other star players out, but that's going to be a huge impact, and they might have to move in the market pretty quickly, or figure out some other things, or maybe there's other players, youth or on loan that they can recall. I don't know, but that is pretty concerning. We'll have to kind of just monitor that, but for the most part, again, everything else, like you said, the style, the tactics formation, Aronson looking really sharp there. It's just finding somebody again up top with Bamford out that he can kind of build that chemistry and connection with, because I was really impressed with the through balls and kind of his crosses and delivery in. He was doing a lot of that this game and just really giving the Southampton fullbacks a huge problem and challenge. And again, drifting in centrally, tucking out wide, touching the touch line per se, right, and just kind of opening up that space. So that's something I was impressed with Aronson, and then Adams, right. Everything else I mentioned, fantastic, but the few moments I think he just didn't track a few of the Southampton runners, got kind of tied and turned in terms of, some attackers beating him one-on-one. So just, I think that was down a little bit of fatigue, because for the 60 minutes or so plus, he looked sharp, he looked the part, but then he was just getting kind of twisted there and just not tracking runners in the end. So like you said, maybe Marsh needs to make some changes earlier on and preserve those crucial leads, because they're going to need every point to stay up.
Gotcha. And yeah, they have a really big test coming up next week too, right? They have Chelsea on the docket.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully we'll get to see some American on American action. I know Christian Pulisic hasn't gotten as much playing time as he'd like, but the one bright spot is Thomas Tuchel won't be on the bench. So maybe maybe he'll get in from the start. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. Now I want to transition to a transfer that happened this week, or I should say a loan move. And that would be for Konrad de la Fuente. So if you haven't heard, Konrad was loaned to Olympiacos in Greece this week. There is a rumored buy clause in this loan. So the rumors right now state it's about $4 million for 80% of his rights. So a bit of a weird one there, but it's interesting to hear that part of this, right? I don't know if that's the best move for him, but a loan to Greece nonetheless. And Pat, we pitched this last week, right? We talked about some of the different options he had, some of the different destinations. And I think Olympiacos was one that we were actually kind of intrigued by. I know we talked about a few of them, but Olympiacos is in the Europa League this year. Their team has a lot of interesting faces you may know from the past. Just for example, they have Matthew Valbuena on the team, French international from the 2010s.
Yeah.
I would say someone that's definitely past his prime. They also have Socrates Papadopoulos, the player from Borussia Dortmund a few years ago. They also have Jan Mvia, which again, a former Premier League player, French national team player. So this team has some interesting names, right? An interesting experience. It's a team that also has some other younger talents that maybe aren't as known, but definitely some players to keep your eye on. So I think with that view of this move in mind, I think this could be a decent place for Konrad to go. I kind of liken it to Malik Tillman's move to Rangers, where again, he's going to a situation that has some established players who, he can learn from hopefully, but also again, has that environment where there's some talent there that is playing in a lesser league. So hopefully they should be able to control possession in most games, really create some good chemistry. And then again, they're in European, play. They play in Europe. So, in the Europa League. So yeah, I think that if he can, if Konrad can get playing time in the Europa League, I don't think that's a bad call by any means. So yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously the league has been declining as a whole the last decade or so, but they still have AK Athens. There's obviously Olympiacos. They have kind of likened to, I think, like you said, Tillman's a really good comparison. I almost think of almost like the Swiss Super League with PFOC, right? There's kind of those 2 or 3 teams that are at the top, and in the European competitions of the Conference League, and then you kind of have a huge drop. But that just means more minutes, more game time for him to really kind of level set, take some time back. He's still a really young player to hone in on his craft, improve, get the chances, get his confidence back up. Because, if he has a fantastic loan move here, regain some confidence and kind of up and running, 22, 23, 24 ages as he gets right into that prime. I think, he still has a really good trajectory here. Now, it's going to be tough, right, to make this World Cup roster. But if you're looking down the 2026 horizon, I think a loan move like this to get that confidence in the medium to long term is a fantastic play for him. I know there's some other clubs linked, and we had some doubts, right, on those other moves. And I think this was one that we landed on that we were more open to, like you said, similar to Malik. And I think this is honestly going to pay some good dividends for him in the long run.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that makes me a little timid about it is that buy clause, right? Like, I don't want
Yeah.
Konrad to spend a lot of time there, but hey, if it is maybe another year after this one and he establishes some credibility, again, kind of like what we saw with PFOC, right? He spent 2 years at Young Boys, was able to, kind of establish a little bit of credibility that first year, and then took advantage of an injury and really made that striker position his own the second year. Maybe something similar happens with Konrad, and he's able to, again, get a move to a top 5 league from this move. So, it just seems like he wasn't really prioritized at Marseille this summer, even though last year he had 800 minutes or thereabout and 2 assists for them. So, I think, again, looking at his options, this one makes some sense. And again, he's still only 21, so he's got a lot of room to grow. Maybe this World Cup, isn't for him. But we always have 2026, right? And we're going to win 2026. So we want him to be part of that.
That's right. That's right. He's going to be, winning trophies back in France and then with us in the USMNT.
Pat, I just have to get my confidence up for the next player we're going to talk about because I'm so high on confidence.
I'm just thinking. I'm like over here, like, all right, let's go into this topic here, and that's the John Anthony Brooks rumors here, and just the transfer.
They're swirling.
They're swirling. We've heard the Turkish Super League, we've heard MLS, now recently Saudi Arabian team showing significant amount of money. People saying he's choosing the money over the national team, this and that. There's so much going on. There's so much noise on Twitter and social media, but we all don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. We haven't since the Greg Berhalter conflict, since the end of his contract this whole summer. It's been insane, Austin. It's driving me nuts. I know it's driving all the fans nuts. So we just don't know where he stands. Obviously, the MLS window freeze there ends early September. European window kind of ending here. Seasons are starting, have begun. It's not an ideal situation for him to be in right now because he's had some time, right? I said this to you off camera with he knew where his contract was, him and his agent, right, working out other negotiations with teams and leagues. And I don't know if it's financial aspect or just the right move, but if he wants to be part of this roster, this scares me to no end, where I want you to come down from that hill, Austin, and join me and the rest of saying who's not going to be a part of the World Cup this time around.
Hey, man, John Brooks is inevitable. He's going to be on that roster.
The thing I want to say, Austin, somebody put, if he does join the Saudi Arabian League, the proximity to Qatar is pretty close. Let's drive over there.
That's right. He might not be on the team plane, but he will be on a plane to Qatar.
Exactly. But I want to get your thoughts on this. I just think it's just unfortunate because he's such a tremendous player, and we've seen in the past, right, how much he's cared for the team, and even with the World Cup experience and the level that he's been at. So it's just unfortunate that whatever is going on behind the scenes that we don't know, that if it's a Bundesliga club or again, a Turkish Super League club or somewhere, a dominant team that's maybe not a top 4 or 5 league, but kind of right up there, maybe in Europa League. Like, I'm just surprised there hasn't been any action or movement.
Yeah, and maybe, we talked about this a little bit before camera, and this wasn't something that came to mind, but maybe his wage demands are too high. Like, maybe there's some teams that are interested, and, maybe he's trying to hold out for more money. And again, that's maybe why Saudi Arabia is a place that has kind of looked at him as an option. But I'm a little puzzled by it too, because we always hear the people ragging on him, right? He's over the hill, but the dude's only 29. Like you said, he's got a lot of experience. He didn't play bad, in my opinion, for Wolfsburg last year, but obviously, they thought he wasn't good enough to bring back, especially for the price that he was probably demanding. And I don't think that means that, he should be, moving to MLS or something like that, because again, we kind of talked about it again off camera. I just don't think that league really suits him right now. I'd rather him stay abroad and kind of find a situation that fits, his playing style maybe a little bit better. And honestly, I'm not sure what the reason is. Maybe he's trying to find a place that has a lot of injuries to start the season or something like that. He just, can't kind of, come down from the level he thinks he's at. But I don't know. I think time will tell. I don't think he's going to go without a club for too much longer. I mean, I would definitely imagine him be signed by, the end of the European transfer window. I don't think he's going to go into the season without a club, but you never know. Like you said, he's had a lot of time to plan this whole summer out, and it seems like it hasn't really gone the way we were at least expecting. So
yeah, for whatever reason, it's interesting to speculate and see what kind of, once things are finalized, what the story was behind that. So I'm really intrigued from that end. But yeah, just it's tough because he had a pretty good move to Wolfsburg. He made some money there. So I just, like you said, here's the wage demands, but also, it just, he's 29. That's a prime time. And you just saw Mane, right, from Liverpool related back, but 29, 30 years old now, that made a pretty good move to Bayern Munich. And then just, you're seeing a lot of players right in that age kind of take that last level up to kind of be in that, pinnacle of your career. And just, I don't know. I'm not saying again that Brooks needed to go to maybe the exact level or that next level up, but maybe it's a situation where someone's recently promoted in a top 4 or 5 league that needs some, defensive chops there, or, Ligue 1, or we talked about the Eredivisie, or even kind of like a Belgian level league, one of those top 3 or 4 teams. It might be harder to break in per se. Again, I'm just spitballing and throwing leagues out, but somewhere where he's going to get Europa, Champions League, he's still at that level, right? He still has that quality. So it's just it's not helping his case, Austin, for making this World Cup roster.
I still cling to John Brooks is inevitable. I think
you heard
I'm the only one, man. I'm the only one. I have to embrace it. So, but well, that's all for this part of our episode today. Now let's head over to Quick Kicks.
All right, guys, and we're setting up for that season 6 style of Quick Kicks. We're rolling through the players here, Austin. First up on the list, Haji Wright. Started here, went 76 minutes for Antalyaspor, and got on the sheet again with a goal. So he is back to his scoring ways. He's full of confidence, and he's ready to make this World Cup roster, right, if he keeps putting the ball in the net. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Heading over to Spain, where La Liga and Yunus Musa, first game of the season there, and a first start under Gattuso's men in the double pivot. So he looked fantastic, looked the part, 100% dribbling there. Was not dispossessed at all. They got a narrow 1-0 win. Brutal red card for their team early in the second half. But hey, it's great to see Musa shine, get that start, and hopefully he just continues to rack up minutes there. Richie Ledesma, Austin, really tough injury. Horrific tackle on him from behind on the ankle there. Undisclosed amount of time he's out for PSV, but that was brutal. It was his first start in over a year plus time, and just a really scummy tackle. Just there's no way around it. It's just horrible that would happen.
Yeah, no place for that.
No place for that. Hopefully hoping for a speedy recovery. And last but not least, we're talking about the bionic man, Weston McKennie. Maybe he can give Ledesma some of his healing powers there. And Weston started, again, 76 minutes and a dominant 3-0 win here today against Sassuolo. We're filming on a Monday. Amazing recovery from the dislocated shoulder. And he was physical. He was all over the pitch. Really combining well with Vlahovic and Di Maria. They look the threat. So I'm glad to see Weston being such a pivotal figure there. Yeah,
I can't wait till Pogba's back too. I think them together on the field, just soaking it up, living in the it is a pretty fun team. It'll be better to watch them this year, I think, than last year.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. So I have 3 shots I want to give out today during Quick Kicks. So the first one's Valerian Balogun. So scored again this weekend, actually drew a penalty for another goal in Rem's 4-2 loss. So again, making the most of his opportunities, right? He's really, taken well to France so far, obviously scoring in, the first 2 games of the season. And I'm excited to see, what the rest of the season has to hold for him. Other shot I wanted to
commit.
That's right. Hey, you never know. He might be on the plane as well. So the other shot I want to give out too is Josh Sargent. So This week, he actually scored the winning penalty for Norwich in their EFL extra time victory, EFL Cup extra time victory. So good to see him again play a role in a really, crucial moment in, that game and for Norwich there. I thought it was cool to, see him have some success to celebrate because the fans were pretty excited about it. So, good job, Josh. And going to the final shout for today, that'd be for Chris Richards, who made his Premier League debut for Crystal Palace versus Liverpool today on Monday. So good to see him kind of make his debut. I didn't get to watch any of it, but it sounds like he did pretty well.
They held the lead on Liverpool, man. He's killing me.
There we go. They got points, right? So that's a good thing. So yeah, that's all for Quick Kicks today. Well, thanks for watching today, guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
Don't forget, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media are putting out great content for you all as we really head out into all the leagues and all the seasons now.
That's right. The season's really underway now, so make sure you follow us on all podcast platforms as well, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Please leave a review. We're trying to grow our audience on those platforms, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, and awesome. We had a lot of some rumblings in the transfer market, right? Players making moves, players putting goals in the back of the net. Everyone kind of performing, at optimal levels. So it's good to see. I'm knocking on wood, and hopefully the injury bug stays away from us, from a program as we, head in the next few months, getting close.
Yeah, that's honestly going to be the big thing here the next few weeks. And with the transfer window closing too, you never know. We may see some more Americans make moves. I feel like a lot of our, players we cover have kind of found their homes for the year, but I'm sure there's a few that we're not thinking of right now. So, we can keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, I think with that, there's only one thing left to say, and that is one day we will win the World Cup.